Yeah. Hello. Okay, so this is another poetry class. It might be our last because I think I've gone through most of the poems that are longer and I want to get through, but I'm really seriously concerned that I won't get to the Charge of the Light Brigade. There are a number of different poetry sheets I have, and when we do the poetry sheets in class, it definitely takes a class period. And those are introductions to focusing on the devices used in poetry. So in order to get through everything I want to get through, I have to post these lessons, and these can be viewed at home in your leisure. If you looked at the Amanda Gorman poem, I posted the link for it. It's called an occasional poem. In other words, it's written for a specific thing that happened, right? And she read her poem that's featured in the lesson at Biden's inauguration. The Charge of the Light Brigade is mentioned as an occasion poem, and I just want to read the Charge of the Light Brigade with you because it's a pro-war poem for sure, and it's a beautiful poem, and it's a very famous poem. As a matter of fact, if you ever watch Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks quotes from it. A lot of the poems I've read to you, or we've read together, are quoted often. To battle, and they came to the top of a hill. And when they got to the top of the hill, they're supposed to charge down the hill upon the orders of their commanding officer, and to go into battle against the Cossacks. They're what do you call it? Russian military Cossacks. And so they get to the top of the hill, they look down and they see there's a bunch of cannons facing where they would run down the hill. And they're like, if you run down this hill into the cannons are going to shoot at us. And we're just like, with our sabers drawn on horseback. What do you think is going to happen? So many of them died because the wrong order was given. So it was in the newspaper the next day, and Alfred Lord Tennyson picked up the newspaper and read it and wrote this poem. And what it was is that even though they knew charging down that hill was a death sentence, that they would die, they were soldiers and they cannot question the orders of a commanding officer. If they question the orders of a commanding officer, you could get 10 years or 20 years in the brig. So you have to blindly answer to the orders of a superior officer. Let me show you something real quick, just to help you get a visual of like how important it is in the military that you obey the commanding officer. Hold one sec, I want to show you this. So these are the drill sergeants showing the troops how they have to indoctrinating the troops. In other words, you break their spirit to make sure that they know that they're not an individual, that they belong to a group, and they have to obey the commanding officer's orders.
Let me say ready, move, 0, 9! Stop moving, boy. Yes, sir! Aye, sir! You're done! Aye, sir! Right here, sir! Get back! Aye, sir! Get away! Sir! Open your doors! Aye, sir! Get louder! Aye, sir! Aye, sir! Aye, sir! Laces.
All right, so I'll see if I can get some Forrest Gump in here. Oh, there it is. It was there for a sec. Oh, here it is. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, this is it. Here it is. Okay, watch this one. This one's funny.
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work.
Any military movie you watch,
Instant corrections.
The commanding officer absolutely demands that you obey without question.
Why did you put that weapon together so quickly, Gump?
You told me to, Drill Sergeant.
Jesus H. Christ. This is a new company record. If it wouldn't be a waste of such a damn fine enlisted men, I'd recommend you for OCS, Private Gump. You are going to be a general someday, Gump. Now, disassemble your weapon and continue.
Anyway, like I was saying, shrimp is the fruit. Call it, bake it, deep fry, stir.
Your bed real neat. Remember to stand up straight. And always answer every question with, yes, Drill Sergeant.
Is that clear?
Yes, Drill Sergeant!
What you do is you just drag your nuts along.
Anyway, I just wanted to show you that, it's not just something I, created, that it's actually, what do you call it? Protocol. Okay, so we'll go back to the charge of the Light Brigade, and okay, we'll have a professional read it, and then we'll
The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade. Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabres bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabring the gunners there, charging an army, while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery's smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the sabre's stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell, all that was left of them, left of the 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made, all the world wondered. Honour the charge they made, honour the Light Brigade, noble 600.
Okay, so there's a professional reading of it. All right, so let me get back to Genius. Hold a sec. We'll go into Genius. So here we have the poem with the annotation, and it's not a long poem. There's a picture of Alfred Lord Tennyson, and in the background you can see pictures of the men on their horses. They were redcoats, of course. And this is a British poem, all right? So anyway, in the earliest published version of the poem was printed in the London Examiner on December 9th, 1854. The speaker is an anonymous he. The poet shifts the focus of the poem from any individual actions and decisions onto matters of record, onto the roles played by followers and leaders in military situations everywhere. So in other words, this poem is supposed to be like any battle and any war poem. In addition to obscuring the identity of the speaker, this final version of the poem changes the command given from take the guns to charge the guns. This heightens a sense of danger for the charge while leaving unstated the reason for charging into blaring cannon fire. The beginning lines of the poem throw the reader into the center of action with a rousing chant that drives the reader both in description and with a galloping rhythm toward the battle, like half a league, half a league, half a league. That's like the writing of the highwayman. A league is approximately 3 miles, and the charging horses cover half a league in a few minutes. The audience at the time of the poem would know that this was a battle in the Crimean War, upon which the poem is based, and would have known from the beginning that they were charging to their doom. They say that Alfred Lord Tennyson was sitting at home in his living room and he read the newspaper account and he picked up his pen. He wrote this because he said, in the newspaper account, they said, why the heck do those men, charge to their death? As the poem soon makes clear, the 600 cavalrymen of the Light Brigade were aware that the order was given by mistake. The poem suggests that in these moments before the battle began, the brigade's greatest that this is the time of the brigade's greatest glory. The phrase of Valley of Death refers to an episode in John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress and also to Psalm 23 of the New Testament in the Bible. Both sources, faith makes people brave when they face death. So half a league, on into the Valley of Death rode the 600. So there are 600 in the battle, in the brigade. Charged the guns, he said, and again, they don't say who he is, but you assume it's a commanding officer because they obey the order. The brigade is, a division of cavalrymen in the army. The unusual command, considering that these are on horseback and they're up on a hill and they're going to gallop down to where the Cossacks have cannons and they're sent right into their death. So it was like a slaughter, sending the soldiers down into the death. And the speech marks surrounding the command distances soldiers from the officers, making Tennyson's critiquing of the mistake clearly aimed at the officers who were in charge of, and supposed to make the commands. Okay, and look at this with their little swords drawn, they're galloping into cannon fire. Okay. Into the Valley of Death rode the 600. The speaker ends the first section of the poem with a little refrain, a kind of recap of what we've learned in the 3 lines. The 2 lines are in jabbed. That means that this line flows right into the next line without pause to suggest the speed and unhesitating progress of the men on the horses. The brigade had been commanded to charge into the valley, right? He didn't have any deserters. No man said, I'm out of here, and turned his horse around and ran, right? They just charged right into the guns. Note that the Valley of Death is repeated in the first stanza and the second stanza, into the jaws of death, which is equally terrifying. And the repetition of this refrain is like a repeated line, often characteristic of a song chorus. So it's here to emphasize the horror of what happened. For the Light Brigade! Was there a man dismayed? That means, was there a man who said, what the heck is that? Like, why is he saying to forward charge down into? The narrator asks if the soldiers were dismayed. In this case, to be dismayed means to lose your confidence, to be overcome by fear or depression. That would be the pretty normal reaction in a situation like this. The rhetorical question is a huge understatement, right? In other words, when you ask a question, the answer is known. You ask a question like, are you paying attention while I'm making this Zoom lesson? It's a rhetorical question because I should know the answer is yes, that you are. Anyway, here, are you upset? Are you frightened by this order? Is a rhetorical question because of course they are upset and they're frightened. And then it's a huge understatement because the answer is, well, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't want to, where someone had blundered. They realized it was a mistake, right? And if they know there's a mistake, of course they're dismayed. Not though the soldiers knew someone had blundered, right? And so it's blundered means it was a mistake. That was the wrong order. And every once in a while in, the heat of battle, there's a mistake, right? See this here, it says Tennyson wrote this after reading in the Times about the battle and the hideous blunder. Okay, theirs not to make reply, theirs not to question why, theirs but to do and die, into the valley of death rode the 600. And this is the quote I told you that's in Saving Private Ryan. These lines sum up the honest, humble heroism of soldiers. So this poem makes no political point. Though the war was unpopular between Britain and had no direct interest in the conflict, Tennyson's purpose was to highlight the heroism of the men. In other words, men go off to war and, like, say you don't agree with the purpose of the war. What do you call those men? Cowards and liars and losers? Or do you say they believe what they're fighting in and they're fighting for us, right? So these lines emphasize the fact that soldiers who were most affected by the violence are the least to have their voices heard. And so these rhyming triplets, right, reply, why, die, make the quote very memorable. The technique of repeating a line with others in a similar structure is known as a syntactic parallelism. Parallelism is when you have a repetition of a grammatical structure. Is also a device known as anaphora. Note also that the beginning of each line it's theirs, gives emphasis to the true hero of the men who had fought. And they charge in the valley of death, all 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them. So there's cannons all around them, volleyed and thundered. Stormed at by shot and shell, boldly they rode in well. So they just boldly rode right into the cannons firing on all sides of them, into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. So all of them, not one of them deserted and said, out of here, and ran away. Flashed at, their sabers bare. This is like the highwayman. He's got his sword out and he's swinging it around as he's riding into a bunch of guns. Flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. And what this means is the next morning when people picked up their newspaper and went, what? Why would they do that? Why would they charge at cannons with their swords drawn? So all the world wondering is an interesting choice of words and can be read two ways. One is that the world was filled with awe and amazement at the, vitality and bravery of the men, or 600 men ride down towards an entire army, and the world is left wondering why this astronomically poor choice was made to send these men to their doom. For what reason? They died for what, right? Plunged into the battery smoke, right through the line they broke, right? Line of Cossacks and Russians with their cannons. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not 600. So they lost a lot of men. So the repetition of not shows that, right, it says here, not all of them made it. Nearly all of them died. The simple phrase, not the 600, with its broken metrical pattern, is our first hint of the casualties the brigade suffered. Note the repetition not to emphasize the fact that the survivors are few. Note that the soldiers were referred to as a number. They are not identified as individuals. Once they have died, they will not be named again. The readers are left to imagine what this would mean to those who have to grieve for them. So that's an important thing, that when you have commanding officer, you have to believe that their order is correct and you have to follow orders, because you could harm a bunch of other people if you had a bunch of soldiers right at the important moment of the battle questioning your commanding officer. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while the horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of the 600. Notice again, they repeat the left, and here what they're saying, some of them came back from the mouth of hell. Although there were survivors, there were very few left of the original 600 who survived on the full charge. Even though all the heroic actions, the poem still leaves you with an almost empty feeling knowing that many of these men died for little gain. So what was the meaning of their death? And then the final stanza, remember I told you about the turn? And the turn is when the poet is asked a question, right? And the question here is, why these men do this? What was this all about, that they followed this wrong order? You know, they went right into the 600 of them, barely any of them come back. What is this? And then you get the answer. This is a turn. When will their glory fade? Oh, what a wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made, honor the Light Brigade, honor the noble 600. So what basically the answer to the question of why these lunatics do it is, many people criticize Britain for entering the Crimean War. The British government blamed the soldiers for their incompetence in battle, but Alfred Lord Tennyson boldly asserted that it's not the fault of the government and the commanders, not the soldiers, the fault of the government and commanders, not the soldiers. The poem was written to honor the soldiers who fought, and he openly criticizes the British government and the way they conducted the war. The repetition of honor is an example of anaphora, where the lines are syntactically similar, with the word repeated like a refrain. The effect is of emphasis, an imperative command to credit. An imperative means, like you have an imperative sentence, is a sentence that gives a demand. And this is a direct demand to you to credit the soldiers with respect and honor they deserve. In other words, those men died believing they were fighting for their country, and that you should honor them for that belief and the fact they were willing to die for their country. Note also that, as elsewhere in the poem, the important word honor is placed at the beginning of the line. The syntax reversed from what might be generally used. Another example of an anastrophe. For comparison, okay, so we don't want to do that. What I'm saying is that, he's saying the Welsh regiment were reported to have fought bravely, sustaining terrible losses. They were often criticized by the generals for lack of bravery, a prime example of mistakes being projected on the victims. The Welsh soldiers have since been vindicated, just like the cavalrymen in this poem. So he's saying that you see in another example of where a general gave the wrong order and then they blamed it on the soldiers, right? Like that. When you had this many people die in an incident, you go, how the heck did that happen? And they knew there was a blunder. Someone had blundered, but they followed orders like a good soldier is supposed to do. All right, so let me just show you one more thing and I'll end the poem. Here it is. The quote in the movie.
Something corporal, huh? We're all supposed to die, is that it?
Papa's talking about our duty as soldiers.
Yes, sir.
We all have orders and we have to follow them. That supersedes everything, including your mother's.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Even if you think the mission's FUBAR, sir?
Especially if you think the mission's FUBAR.
What's FUBAR? Oh, it's German. Yeah. Never heard of that. Sir, I have an opinion on this matter.
Well, by all means, share it with the squad.
Open my way of thinking, sir. This entire mission is a serious misallocation of valuable military resources.
Go on.
Well, it seems to me, sir, that God gave me a special gift, made me a fine instrument of warfare.
Griven, pay attention now. This is the way to gripe. Continue, Jackson.
Well, what I mean by that, sir, is he used to put me and this here sniper rifle anywhere up to and including 1 mile of Adolf Hitler with a clear line of sight, sir. Pack your bags, fellas. War's over. Amen.
Oh, that's brilliant, Bumpkin. Hey, so, Captain, what about you? I mean, you don't gripe at all?
I don't gripe to you, Riven. I'm a captain. He's a chain of command. Gripes go up, not down, always up. You gripe to me, I gripe to my superior officer, so on, so on, so on. I don't gripe to you. I don't gripe in front of you. You should know that as a ranger.
I'm sorry, sir, but let's say you weren't a captain, or maybe I was a major. What would you say then?
Well, in that case, I say this is an excellent mission, sir, with an extremely valuable objective, sir. Worthy of my best efforts, sir. Moreover, I feel heartfelt sorrow for the mother of Private James Ryan. I'm willing to lay down my life and the lives of my men, especially you, Ryben, to ease her suffering.
He's good.
I love him.
Nah.
You would explain the math of this to me? I mean, where's the sense of risking the lives of the 8 of us to save one guy?
20 degrees. Anybody want to answer that?
Driving. Think about the poor bastard's mother.
Hey, Doc, I got a mother, all right? I mean, you got a mother, Sarge has got a mother. I mean, shit, I bet even the captain's got a mother. Well, maybe not the captain, but the rest of us got mothers.
There's not a reason why, there's but to do and die. La 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 la.
Did you hear that? Here we go again, right? There it is. There it is.
Do and die. La 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 la. Why, there's but to do and die. La la la. There's not a reason why, there's but to do and die.
And you notice that if you hear the guy go la 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 la, it's that they all know that poem. Okay, so anyway, there we go. That was the end of what do you call it? This Charge of the Light Brigade. I shall talk to you in class.